This is Eric Sparks for OldFutures.com. Today we have a list of the top 5 alien invasion movies from the 1950s. Alright, we're going to start off with an honorable mention. Didn't quite make our list, but we've got to mention The Blob. This is a film that was made by a director and a crew who were used to making religious films, and somehow this movie ended up being one of the most fun and memorable alien invasion movies of the 1950s. A huge hit at drive-in movie theaters across the country, launched a career of Steve McQueen. I mean, the movie eventually ended up grossing $4 million. Just a fantastic amount of money for this independent film. So that is our honorable mention, The Blob. On to the list. We start with number 5, Earth versus the Flying Saucers, with the fantastic stop-motion animation special effects of Ray Harryhausen. This movie just really shows a fantastic vision of our world under attack by alien flying saucers. Essentially, the flying saucers land, and through a misunderstanding, one of our people attacks them. They retaliate by killing almost everybody who was there, and then going out to destroy some of the world's largest cities. Washington, D.C., Moscow, you get the idea. Just seeing, a lot of that was stop-motion animation as well by Ray Harryhausen, and was just a fantastic vision for audiences at the time to see their world and their landmarks devastated by these aliens. And just made for wonderful entertainment, and definitely a must-see for anyone who's a big fan of 1950s sci-fi. Number 4, War of the Worlds. Really, the War of the Worlds was the classic and first big alien invasion story. And, H.G. Wells terrified people in 1898 when the story came out. 40 years later, Orson Welles terrified the country again, our country anyway, with his historic radio broadcast. And then 15 years after that, producer George Pal and director Byron Haskin bring us their vision of this story, finally bringing it into the age of film, and just gives us a terrifying and disturbingly real portrait of what this alien invasion by Martians could be like. And with great special effects for the time, fantastic storytelling, just a wonderful version of Wells' story, and really one of the best science fiction films of the 1950s. On to number 3, Thing from Another World. Howard Hawks just really created a masterpiece of isolation and terror with this. There are a group of scientists working at the North Pole, and they radio to say that there's a crashed ship near them. So this group of Navy men is sent to investigate and help them. They find the ship, and they find a frozen body close to it. They bring it back to the base, and of course, it's accidentally thawed. Out comes this creature that is more like a plant than anything else. And just the terror really begins, starts killing people. Since this base is at the North Pole, it just gives a wonderful sense of isolation, really terrified audiences at the time, and just really one of the best sci-fi films of the decade. Number 2, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Don Siegel just created a masterpiece of paranoia and terror. Kevin McCarthy stars as a doctor who discovers that people are being replaced by copies made by aliens. And he keeps trying to prove it. He goes around, tries to prove it, and nobody will believe him. And then eventually he's discovering that more and more people are being replaced by these copies, and nobody knows that it's going on. And the web just keeps tightening around him, and his the paranoia and terror just keeps growing and growing. And at the end, it's this surprisingly depressing ending that is absolutely perfect for the film. The film was just one that really would not have worked with a happy cotton candy ending, and the first time you see it, the ending just absolutely leaves you breathless. Definitely not a film to miss. And this leads us to number one, the number one best alien invasion movie of the 1950s, The Day the Earth Stood Still. This is really the granddaddy of all science fiction alien invasion films. It really has no equal. Robert Wise just creates an absolute masterpiece. Right in the beginning, you get this sense of paranoia and terror as this alien saucer is landing. You don't know what's going to come out of it. You don't know what's going to happen, the first time you see it. And then it switches to the perspective of the alien, who, as he goes around and sees our planet and tries to bring his message. And his message is essentially that the other planets know that we have nuclear power and know our violent tendencies, and they will not allow us to spread our violence to the other planets. So we either cease our violent ways, or they will destroy the Earth. It's really a timeless message. It's perfect for that time. Still very apt for today. And, with a fantastic flying saucer, a giant robot that can shoot lasers out of his eyes, the possible destruction of the entire world, really this has everything that a 1950s alien invasion movie should have, and it does it better than any other one. For OldFutures.com, I'm Eric Sparks.